Hi Preetham, welcome to the interview. So
Hi,
as you
Saurabh.
know, this interview will be recorded. It might be posted on social media, but we can start. So I understand that you are applying for one of the large organizations now, and here we are trying to prepare a mock interview for that.
Yeah,
So why don't you start up with yourself, your background, your career?
yeah. So my name is Preetham Salunke. I've completed my bachelor's in engineering from information technology background from Pune University. So I recently graduated in 2023. So after graduating, I started working with one of large MNCs. So I'm working at TCS. I'm working there as a Java developer in a banking project. So we are implementing a banking teller solution for a Middle East bank. So yeah, that's it about me. I'm interested in cloud and DevOps. I'm passionate about it, so I'm learning it on my own.
Right. Uh, did you have any cloud and DevOps experience while you are working in your organization at the moment?
We cannot say completely cloud and DevOps like full-fledged experience, as my role is mainly revolves around Java development. But I have done few things in Linux, like automating like vsend patches, so automating that patching process like using Bash scripts. Yeah, I've done few things, and I've done projects on my own related to cloud and DevOps.
Okay, right. Now, this particular job description, as I understand, it's mostly Linux focused, it's networking focused.
Yeah.
How in depth are you comfortable with these topics?
Yeah, I have the basic understanding of Linux operating system and networking, all the basics of it. And I've also did some like used Linux for some projects and used it for a little while. So I have like few commands and that I have experience of that. So
Okay,
yeah,
all right. So let's start with the easy questions first, and let's see how in depth we can go into it.
yeah.
So first, can you explain me the concept of user and group permissions in Linux?
Yeah. So user and groups, they are like different entities made in Linux to separate the different permissions for a file or a file. So users are there are different users like root users, system users, and to users we can define different permissions. So there are three kinds of permissions: read, write, and execute. So in Linux, we can give permissions to user, then groups, then there is one others. So to all these three entities, we can give permissions. In users, a single user will get a permission. Group would be a group of users which will define in Linux, and will once the permission is given to the group. Suppose I give read and write permission to a specific group, so all the users in that group will be having that permission to access the file.
Okay,
So yeah,
got that. All right. So in terms of creating and mounting a new file system, can you describe the process on how it is done?
yeah, creating and mounting new file system. Yeah, so uh, we can create new file system in Linux using first checking our disk with sh command, and then creating like new partition using fdisk command. So it will create new partition for us. We can specify like what kind of partition we need. Then after creating the partition, we'll need to format that partition so that we can use it. And then once the partition is created, we can mount it using like mount command, and then we can create directories on it, like mkdir. We can create directories on it and use it in our system.
Yep, that's correct. So I was looking for the two words, fdisk and mount. So yeah, you covered them both. What's the difference between the system package managers like yum and apt?
Okay, so in different Linux distributions use different system package managers. Like in I think in Ubuntu it's yum, and in Red Hat Linux there is apt. So both package managers, they are used to like do package management for the system. So installing new packages. If we can install different dependencies, we can get repositories. We install plugins. We can install multiple packages at once, like group installation. So to use in package manager like yum, we can use sudo yum and just install and the name of the package, and it will install that package.
Okay. Can you tell me what these two commands are used for, vmstat and netstat?
Okay, so these both are used for getting the statistics of our network info and about like system info of our Linux system. So VMstat is used for like the virtual memory statistics. So and VMstat is used for virtual memory statistics, the size of the memory, CPU it is using, the paging, block IO. So vmstat, once the command and there are some flags, so after entering that it will show information related to it. And network statistics like netstat is used for network statistics, so it will display different network connections, routing tables, and all the information related to network.
Okay. So let's assume that you are running a Linux-based cloud instance and
Yeah,
there is a service outage. How would
yeah,
you start approaching that problem?
yeah. So first I'll check if I am able to connect to that system or not. So I'll first SSH into it. Then after connecting, so there is service outage, means like we are not able to connect to that system.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll try to check if we first I'll do SSH from my system. If I'm able to access it, then I'll check which device are we trying to access it, where issue is getting caused. Then I'll check the security groups if it is aligned like firewall rules. So for EC2, I can check rules for inbound SSH traffic for the IP assigned to that EC2. Then user account, I'll check if there are any issues with the user account. So if I'm able to check, if I'm able to connect to that EC2 and some other device is not able to connect, then I'll check about that like specific issues related to the device which we are trying to connect it from.
Okay. Can you
Yeah.
tell me the few commands that might help you in doing all these activities?
Yeah, few commands would be first, we can check security groups that we can check from the AWS console. Then we can use like a status of SSH, like are we able to, like SSH services running or not, that we can check like like status and SSHD. So it will show us the like status, and if it is not working, we can start SSHD. Then, if there are some SSH key issues, we can check the permissions using chmod command for the key, if that key is like the private key, PEM key is accessible or not. Then, for user account issues, we can check using like we can check user accounts using sudo cat etc password. So it will like pass wd. It will show like usernames for different users, so we can troubleshoot it in this way.
Okay. And if the problem is that a Linux server cannot access internet, how would you
Okay,
go about that?
so if Linux server is not able to access internet, we can check its uh, knuckle groups, I think so. We can check if a Linux server is not able to access internet. First, we can check the IP address, like by running the command IP addr. So it will show first our like our network interface, our IP address. Then we can check the route. If it is routing, we can ping, like we can ping any site, like if we are able to reach that site or not. So yeah, we can check configuration files like DNS configuration using resolve.config file. We can check in that.
Okay.
So yeah.
If you need to identify how many network hops is your server making for a connection, what command would you use?
Network ops, I think we can use traceroute for that. So we can get the how many network hops are it is making. Um, so we can install like sudo apt install. We can install traceroute, and then we can use like if traceroute google.com. So it will display us like the hop number and uh, like details about that connection.
Okay. Now, in terms of users, can you explain me the concept of user account with a sudo access, and how is it different from a root access?
Okay, so root user is the like highest privileges. It is the root user, and super user is has lower privileges than the root user. So sudo user is like sudo stands for super do. So it is granted permissions to execute command as the like the root user, but sudo commands like sudo commands have few limitations over to the root user.
Okay. Now, in terms of networking, can you explain me the difference between UDP and TCP?
Yeah, so UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol, and TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. So TCP is for reliable communication, for reliable transmission. So what TCP does, TCP first does a three-way handshake and first make sure that the connection is made properly, and then starts transmitting the data. And UDP doesn't doesn't starts with the connection. It starts sending data as fast as possible. And in TCP, data will be transmitted into an order. And in UDP, data won't be transmitted there is no guarantee of order or reliability. So there are different use cases for TCP and UDP. So suppose we need to send reliable, like we need to have surety that data will go. Like suppose we need to send email, so we need to send the complete email. So we will like our protocols will be TCP. Like for HTTPS, like we want to load a website, protocol will be TCP. But for like online gaming and video calls, and there will be protocol UDP, because we are not we want to run it in real time. Even if there is some lag, that is okay. So that's when we'll use UD. So that's the major difference.
Okay. So let's say you are a user, just an internet user, and
Okay.
you go through, you want to reach a website, abc.com.
Yeah.
So what happens once you press abc.com in your browser? What happens in
Okay.
the background?
Yeah. So once I enter, let's go with the example of google.com. So that would make it easier. So suppose I enter google.com in my browser. So my browser would first look for like it will try to resolve its DNS. So there will be coming the concept of DNS, domain name system. So it will try to look for the google.com's IP address. So first it will find it in the like try to search it in the browser's cache. If I have visited that site earlier, that it will find it in the browser cache. If it is not found in browser cache, then it will look up to the like my internet provider's cache or the system cache. So generally it is found in one of these cache, and it will establish TCP connection with that IP address, and I'll get served the HTTPS like the HTML pages of the content of the site. But let's suppose a case when it is not able to resolve it, then there will be a recursive DNS query. So there are two types of queries, recursive and iterative. So suppose there will be a recursive query. So what it will do, it will request to the root server. So after that google.com, one more dot will be there. So that is the root server. So root server will say like, I don't have address for google.com, but hey, I have address for that .com, the top level domain. So it will return the server of the top level domain .com. Then It will again ask the IP address for google.com to the top level domain. So it will return the address for the authoritative server of the like Google, and then the google.com, that authoritative server will return the IP address. So in this way, the connection will get established.
Okay. Can you explain me why the concept of firewalls?
Concept of firewalls, yeah. So firewalls are basically used to have better control and security over our network. So firewalls are like essential network security devices. So they will control the incoming and outgoing traffic. They will also monitor. So there are different firewalls, like we can also say in AWS there are security groups, there are network access control lists. These are also types of firewalls. So they will inspect the incoming traffic. We can set different firewall rules to like allow only from a specific IP address or from a specific range of IP addresses, or we can set up like different conditions. If we are getting some kind of malicious traffic, then we can block it. So this is what firewalls are used for.
Okay. Explain me the purpose of a subnet mask.
Subnet mask. Uh, Subnet, I know of subnet mask. Like the after IP address, we use that slash and 32 for the CIDR range. Yeah, so subnet mask we used to like create a specific number of IP addresses in a subnet, create a network in a subnet. So subnet mask is a like a 32-bit number. So for example, we can say there is some IP address and slash there is 32. Then if we use like 31 there, so it will be, the calculation will be like 32 minus 1. So there will be only one IP address getting generated out of it. So yeah, that's about subnet mask.
So do you know the computation of 32 and 28, 24? So on what basis are the number of IP addresses calculated?
It are based on the like octet, the capacity that each can hold. So they are calculated based on that the highest they can hold from 0 to 255. So yeah.
Sorry, so if it's a subnet mask of 16, how many IP addresses are there?
Yeah, so the calculation will be like out of the 32 minus 16, then the number would be 16, and then 16 the power of 16 power of 2, like 2 raised to 16, and the number calculated will be the number of IP addresses will be able to get. Like a lot of like something 65,000 something, a lot of IP addresses can be generated out of that IP.
All right. One more networking question. How do you troubleshoot a situation where two devices on the same network, they are not able to communicate to each other?
Okay, two devices are on same network, but they are not able to connect. We can check their both inbound and outbound traffic rules, like NACL rules for both of them. So if they we can check if what conditions are set there, like what are they allowing, what inbound traffic and outbound traffic are they allowing. We can set each other's IP addresses as allowed in the inbound and the outbound, so that they can access each other. We can ping one from the another, so ping IP address of the another device from one and check if what's happening, or yeah.
Okay. All right. Now coming back to your profile, you said that you have worked on Java. How
Yeah,
comfortable are you working with Python or Go or any other language?
yeah, I'm comfortable because like in college days also I have learned Python as part of curriculum, and mostly programming languages will, the basics of programming will be similar, only there will be syntax different. So with help of like documentation and few practicing for few days, I think I'll be comfortable in Python or even Go.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
have you had any experience in creating security in terms of protecting against common attacks like SQL injection, cross-site scripting?
Yeah, so for against SQL injection and cross-site scripting, I haven't worked on, but in my work experience, I've worked on securing applications against tampering. So suppose if application when a client like client is sending something to the like the request response client is sending to the server, and in between if the network is uh, like if network gets what we can say tampered, and someone tampers the response like the request being sent to the server, and if he modifies that request, tampers that, so it can affect the application. So the approach I've used was to do server side and client side hashing. So in that request, first the client will generate a hash, and it will send that hash to the server, and if the hash gets matched, only then the request will get accepted. Otherwise, like we can log out, or we can report that issue, report that incident. So in this way we can handle security for tampering.
Okay. Now, there are different types of wireless network security protocols. So, have you heard of WEP, WPA, and WPA2?
Yeah, I've heard of web like WPA. So these are related to wireless. This in day to day general, like using Wi-Fi, I have used them. So WEP, like WEP is like older one, and WPA is also, I think, now older one. Like the WPA was vulnerable to few attacks. So I have myself like tried to hack into few Wi-Fi's using like different tools, so to get the password. So WPA was vulnerable. Like there was one button on the routers which was used to reset, so it was exploiting that, and was able to connect to the network. And then the latest one is, I think, WPA2, which has fixed that. So it is using like advanced encryption standards. So WPA2, WPA3 have come up, and like they offer stronger. So nowadays, you like newer routers, you won't be able to easily crack into them.
Cool. All right, Preetham. So I'm done with my networking questions. Just on a few behavioral questions where I want to understand how you would react to certain situations and if you have handled any of these. Uh,
Yeah.
because you don't have much experience, you're just a fresh grad, just a couple of years. How much did you say? How many years of experience you have? 1 year, right?
9 months, I think, nine
Nine
to
months.
ten.
Yeah.
I joined in August 2023.
Okay. Yep. So 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So if you do not know the answers or if you haven't dealt with any of these scenarios, just yeah, you feel free to say that you haven't. But if you have
Yeah.
any ideas, so I'm open for hearing. So tell me a
Yeah.
situation if where you had to explain a complex technical problem to a customer with limited knowledge. Have you had such of experience?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So similar experience I have had was a team member, but he didn't had technical knowledge. Like he was in the uh, different sort of, like we can say, department. So business analysis. So we had to explain him. So what things I did was, I tried to I tried to break down the solution whatever we were implementing. So I had to break down that, and I tried to explain him using like examples, like giving different analogies. Yeah, and I tried to like uh, give him different examples, like different approaches. So yeah,
Okay.
that's how I encountered this.
All right. Uh, any time where you had to collaborate with a developer to resolve a technical issue?
Yeah, this happens, like usually this happens. So if there is some task assigned to me, and I do not have like understanding of that, I would connect with like fellow developer who has like I would ask in team, like who has worked on this module, or recently been working on this. So I'll connect with him over Teams, or if he's present in office, then we can like sit together in a meeting room. And then I ask him like, how did you encounter? We just go to through the debugging mode. So whatever he has implemented, we can just go like assign like have some debugging points, and we can go through the whole flow. And I ask him different questions like in the way I need to implement that solution. So what challenges would I face? And yeah, we can have that sort of discussion. And then I get a clear idea of how can I implement like how can I like develop that similar thing.
Okay, all right. Now, because the cloud, DevOps, all these technologies, they keep on changing. There is always some new content coming up. So how do you stay informed on the latest advancements which are happening in these fields?
So yeah, but I rely on mostly like social media, like on LinkedIn or on YouTube. You get to see latest things. Also, you can follow newsletters by like few recognized people in the industry who are working there. So they post their own experiences. You can also, there are like different organizations have their own engineering pages. So like Hotstar has its own engineering page, like blog, technical blog. Then Netflix has its own technical blog. So there we can get the whole white papers. We can read them, like what problem they have encountered, what like business problem they were trying to solve, which technologies they leveraged for solving it. So yeah, also like if we want it less serious, we can also watch podcasts and all to like
Yeah.
stay in trend.
Okay. So one last question in this interview. So describe a time where you faced a high pressure situation at work, and how did you manage the stress and ensure that the tasks are complete?
Yeah. So this was when I joined organization a few months back. Like I was assigned on my first project. So the thing was that I thought that I was told to shadow the project. Like it was assigned to one of the senior member in my team, and I was just looped into that mail. So there was sort of miscommunication. I thought that it would be just shadowing, me shadowing, and he'll be developing the project, and he'll be updating on, and I'll be asking him questions. But the thing was that it was actually expected that I would be developing the project and he would be just guiding me. So there was sort of miscommunication. So it caused a delay. So and then I realized that whole thing needs to be developed by me, and there was like short deadline. So the thing I did was like prioritize that task. So I started focusing on the single task, like to deliver it within the ETA. I took help of him. I like help in the way like if I had like I didn't understood the module, like what was the existing functionality, where like where is the similar functionality implemented, so I can take reference of it. So he helped me in that way, like guided me, and so I started working on me. So between I got into many issues. So at that time also I took his help. Also I took like few other members help to solve that issues, like how can this be done. So asking lot of questions, that was my approach, and just not stopping, just I was just going on. So it was like a good experience, I would say, because after handling that stress, during that stress, it was like painful. I was thinking that what where I have come. But after completing that project, and after that project went into production and all, I like felt more confident. Like if I can handle this, like I can do it in small time, then I can do like a lot more complex things. So even my lead started to assign me on complex projects after that. So yeah, that was my experience with like handling stress.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Preetham. I'm done with the interview. And so I'll be providing you a little bit of feedback after I pause the recording. But thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you, Saurabh. Thank you.